A man kneels in the dirt of a Judean field, digging a hole under the cover of night. The soil is thick and unforgiving. We warn each other not to bury our potential. If you use your abilities, God applauds you. If you sit on them, if you play it safe, on their sandals, and double the wealth in their hands. And when the third servant steps forward to present his perfect legal defense, he uses a single Greek word that exposes a terrifying reality. The third servant stands in the great hall, holding a heavy, dirt-stained bag. He looks at the master and speaks a single, devastating sentence. In Matthew chapter 25, verse 24, "Lord, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground." He thinks he is offering a compliment to a ruthless businessman. He is actually revealing a fatal theological disease. Look at the adjective he chooses to describe the king. The English translation says hard, but the Greek word is skleros. It describes something that has completely dried out, something rigid, stiff, and unbending. It is the physical texture of a dead branch that snaps under your boot, or the cold, immovable surface of a stone floor. In ancient Greek medical texts, a physician would use skleros to describe a paralyzed limb that refused to bend. The servant looks at a man who just recklessly handed away an empire's fortune and calls him rigid. He is angry and takes them away. We have turned the master of the universe into a celestial middle manager, demanding a quarterly earnings report. He looks at an ocean of unearned grace and calls it unyielding. He has constructed a phantom master in his mind. He has invented a cruel, demanding deity who is obsessed with the ledger. A boss who hovers over his shoulder waiting for him to make a mathematical error, so he can strike him down. The servant is not looking at the actual man standing in front of him. He is looking at a projection of his own deepest fears. This is the profound tragedy of the parable. The master's fury is not a reaction to a lost financial profit. It is a reaction to a murdered character. The master responds by calling him poneros and okneros, wicked and slothful. But we have misunderstood the word slothful. We read it as lazy, as if the servant just wanted to sleep in. But okneros literally means to hesitate, to shrink back, to be paralyzed by caution. The master is not condemning the man for failing to produce. He is condemning him for shrinking back from relationship, for preferring the cold, dead dirt over the vibrant, risky joy of the master's house. If you believe God is skleros, if you believe he is a rigid taskmaster demanding a return on his investment, you will never trade in the open market of his grace. And we have turned grace into a loan with a staggering interest rate. But if you look closer at the dirt, at the overwhelming economic reality, you will always look for a shovel. You will find ways to protect yourself from him, usually by wrapping yourself in the strict, safe rules of religious performance. The servant was given a fortune, but he lived like a prisoner because his theology was entirely warped by fear. And before we judge the ancient man with the shovel, we have to look very closely at our own hands. You do not need a physical shovel to bury a talent. You just need a routine. You just need a checklist. You just need a perfectly predictable theological system. We sit in stiff wooden pews. We hold worn paper bulletins. We sing the same 4 chords. We read the same comforting verses. We give exactly 10%. We volunteer on the second Tuesday. We keep the ledger perfectly balanced. We call it faithfulness, but it is not faithfulness. It is risk management. We treat the creator of the cosmos like a predatory auditor. We think he is waiting to review our spiritual performance. So we hand him back exactly what he gave us: an untouched life, a sterile morality, a spotless, unbruised reputation. We are terrified of getting it wrong. We are terrified of the open market. The market is messy. The market is loud, of what that servant was actually carrying. And at the strict legal loopholes of the first century rabbinic world, you start to see something. The market means you might actually lose something. It means feeling the cold sweat of an honest conversation with a broken neighbor. It means getting the sharp smell of a hospital room on your clothes. It means risking your comfort, your time, and your money to love someone who cannot pay you back. We avoid the chaos of the market. So we use the dirt of the field to hide. When you believe God is scleros rigid, hard, unbending, your entire spiritual life becomes an exercise in damage control. You do not pray boldly. You pray defensively. You do not love wildly. You love cautiously. You measure your faith by what you did not do. I did not step out of line. I did not make a mess. I did not lose the talent. You are defining holiness by absence. But true holiness is not the absence of failure. It is the presence of reckless trust. You hide your real struggles in the dark. You pack the soil down flat over your doubts, so no one in your community sees the mess. You hand God an itinerary instead of a heart. The shovel is not a tool of rebellion. It is a tool of religion. It is the way we keep God at a safe distance. We follow the rules so we never have to risk a relationship. We want the airtight legal defense of the ancient rabbis. We want to say, look, I didn't break anything. The productivity reading completely misses. Jesus was not offering a motivational speech. He was diagnosing something. I didn't lose anything. Here is your doctrine, perfectly preserved. But a preserved life is a dead life. The tragedy of the third servant is not that he lost the money. It is that he never knew the master. He survived the king's return, but he completely missed the king's joy. And to understand what that joy actually looks like, you have to look at what the master says to the two men who come back with the dust of the market still clinging to their clothes. Step back into the great hall of the estate. The lamps are burning low, casting long shadows across the stone floor. The first two servants stand before the master, their tunics stained with the sweat and dust of a decade in the violent, unpredictable marketplace. They do not bring back sterile, polished silver. They bring back heavy, dented coins, the metal scuffed by the hands of merchants, sailors, and tax collectors. They took the staggering weight of the talenton and they risked it. To trade in the ancient Mediterranean was to invite disaster. It meant trusting fragile wooden ships to storm-churned seas. It meant dealing with corrupt Roman officials and navigating the volatile economies of distant ports. The first two servants spent years waking up with their hearts pounding, knowing they were operating entirely on the unearned capital of a king. He was naming a spiritual disease that dictates how most of us secretly relate to the divine. This parable is not a warning about wasting your skills. They lived in a constant state of vulnerability. They are not rewarded for their flawless financial acumen. They are rewarded for their reckless trust. Listen to the words the master actually speaks over them. In Matthew 25, verse 21, he does not hand them a certificate of perfect attendance or offer them a promotion to a higher managerial rank. He says, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master." Look closely at that final phrase. Enter into the joy. The Greek word is chara. It is not a sterile sense of satisfaction. It is not a quiet, polite nod of approval. It is a feast. It is the overwhelming, abundant celebration of the king's own heart. The master does not take the silver back and dismiss them to the servants' quarters. He invites them to the table. He elevates them from slaves managing property to sons sharing in the inheritance. The reward for risking the master's grace is not a vacation from the work. It is a deeper plunge into the very life of the master himself. This king is not scleros. He is not a rigid, unbending taskmaster scanning a ledger for mistakes. He is a radically generous sovereign who wants his people to experience the absolute thrill of his domain. He wants them to know what it feels like to hold his authority. It is a devastating exposure of what you actually believe about the character of God. The real question of this parable isn't, are you using your gifts to trade on his name and to watch his kingdom expand in the dirt and noise of the real world? The first two servants understood the true character of the man they served, and it set them completely free. But how you see the master does not just dictate how you handle his money. It dictates how you handle your entire life. A massive fortune of silver is dropped on a stone floor, and a century of unearned wealth changes hands. Two men trade in a violent, unpredictable market and return with the dust of the world on their sandals. A terrified servant drags a heavy sack into the dark and builds a perfect legal fortress to hide from love. He calls a radically generous king rigid and murders the character of God in his own mind. A Greek word is mistranslated over centuries, and a staggering gift shrinks into a biological skill. We bury our own doubts under sterile religious routines and mistake our risk management for true faithfulness. The master opens the doors to the great hall and replaces the fear of a ledger with the feast of a son. It is this: why are you so afraid of the one who gave them to you? One weight, one invitation, one staggering grace. But here is the part I keep coming back to. The dirt. The moment that third servant smoothed the soil flat over the silver so no one would ever know it was there. Because I know exactly what it feels like to hold the massive, unearned grace of God and immediately look for a way to manage it, to make it safe, to wrap it in rules, checklists, and perfect theology so I never have to face the terrifying vulnerability of actually trusting Him in the open market. If you are in a season where your spiritual life feels stiff and heavy, where you are exhausted from trying to keep the ledger perfectly balanced, hear this. The parable of the talents is not a threat. It is a rescue mission. The king is not Scleros. He is not a celestial middle manager hovering over your shoulder with a clipboard, waiting to dock your pay for a mistake. He is a father handing you the keys to the estate, asking you to trade the cold dirt of your religious performance for the vibrant, messy reality of His kingdom. If this shifted something in how you see God, hit subscribe and leave a comment. Even one word helps. Share this with someone who is completely exhausted by religious performance. To feel the weight of what Jesus is doing here, you have to start with a massive linguistic accident. Pray for us as we keep digging into these texts. And may the God who has never once managed you like an asset walk with you out of the safe, sterile fields of fear and invite you to step fully into the wild, unpredictable joy of the Master. An innocent mistake of translation that took an ancient measurement of unfathomable wealth and shrank it down to fit on a resume. But He works frantically. You can hear the scrape of a spade against rock, the heavy breathing of someone desperate not to be seen. Words have histories. Words carry baggage. Take the word talent. You put it on a resume. You watch a show about it on a glowing screen. You hear it shouted across a stage by judges hovering over buzzing red buttons. In modern English, a talent is a skill, a knack, a biological advantage. You sing well. You write code. You build businesses. But that meaning did not exist in the ancient world. The English word only means ability because of this specific story. During the Middle Ages, as people read translated versions of Matthew 25, the culture began using the master's money as a metaphor for human potential. Over centuries, the metaphor swallowed the literal text. The original meaning vanished. The physical weight evaporated. Because we changed the definition, we changed the pressure. If a talent is your skill, then every day you are not maximizing it is a failure. You feel the anxiety tight in your chest. You measure your worth by your output. You think God is standing with a clipboard, tallying what you produce today. We shrank an empire-level fortune into a personality trait. We made it about us. We made it about our performance. But Jesus is not talking about your singing voice. He is not evaluating your leadership skills. The text is not a performance review. It is an economic earthquake. When Jesus looks at His disciples, He lowers a massive, tightly bound linen sack into the cold earth. He pushes the dirt back over it, their sandals covered in Judean dust, and tells them a man handed over his talents. He is not handing out spiritual gifts. He is handing over cold, heavy, dangerous metal. Let's look at the math. A talent was a measurement of weight, usually silver or gold. We read 5 talents, and we Picture a handful of coins. A small leather pouch clinking on a wooden table. A talent is not a coin. It is a block. It is roughly 75 pounds of solid silver. You cannot put it in your pocket. You have to lift it with your legs. You have to drag it across the stone floor. 1 talent was equal to 6,000 denarii. A denarius was the standard wage for a day of grueling physical labor in the sun. Do the math. 1 talent is 20 years of wages. 2 talents is a lifetime of unspent earnings. 5 talents is a century of human sweat, stacked in a room, gleaming in the lamplight. The master is not distributing small allowances. He is dismantling his own kingdom and handing the pieces to his servants. He is giving away more wealth than these men have ever seen in their entire lives. But the staggering math is only the first shock. The real scandal is the identity of the men receiving it. Picture the courtyard of a massive first-century estate. The sun is high, and the air smells of crushed olives and wood smoke, packing it down tight with blistered hands. He is not burying a corpse. He is not hiding a stolen relic. 3 men stand on the stone pavement. They wear rough, woven tunics, their hands calloused from pulling plows and tending vines. They are doulos bondservants. They own nothing. They do not have bank accounts. They do not have investment portfolios. They do not even own the leather sandals on their feet. And the master of the estate opens a heavy iron-bound chest. He pulls out bars of solid silver. He drops them at their feet. The metal hits the stone floor with a thud that echoes off the villa walls. The first servant receives 5 talents. That is nearly 400 pounds of precious metal. He cannot even carry it back to his quarters. He has to load it onto a wooden cart, the axle groaning under the sheer density of the fortune. The second receives 2, still a staggering 150 pounds, enough to buy his freedom 10 times over. The third receives 1, 75 pounds, 20 years of wages for a single, uneducated slave. He does not ask for a signature. He does not provide a ledger or a list of approved investments. He simply turns his back, walks out of the courtyard, and leaves the country. To a first-century audience sitting on the hillside listening to Jesus, this is not a story about a wise financial planner. It is a story about a lunatic. He is burying a fortune that belongs to a man he hopes never to face again. And he is doing it because he is completely, utterly terrified. In the ancient Roman world, wealthy landowners did entrust property to slaves to manage while they traveled, but they left detailed instructions. They appointed harsh overseers. They built rigid legal frameworks to protect every single coin. This master leaves nothing but the silver and open space. Who hands a century of unearned wealth to a slave with zero supervision? It makes no economic sense. The risk is astronomical. The vulnerability is staggering. The master is not making a calculated business maneuver. He is initiating a radical transfer of authority. He is taking the wealth of his own kingdom and placing it directly onto the shoulders of men who have done absolutely nothing to earn it. He is inviting them to stop acting like slaves and start acting like sons. He wants them to play with his money. He wants them to experience the thrill of his domain. The first 2 men understand this. They look at the silver, and they see an invitation into the joy of the master. But the third man stares at the 75 pounds of silver gleaming in the dust. He does not see an invitation. He sees a trap. And to understand why, he grabs a shovel and heads for the field at midnight. You have probably heard this story. It is one of the most famously misunderstood passages Jesus ever taught. You have to look at the Greek word Jesus actually uses to describe the treasure itself. Go back to Matthew chapter 25. Verse 15. Jesus is looking at his disciples and describing the exact moment the wealth changes hands. The master gives 5 to 1, 2 to another, 1 to the last. The word Jesus uses for this wealth is the Greek talenton. We translated it as talent. We made it a skill. We made it light. But talenton is not light. Its root tells a completely different story. The word comes from the ancient Greek verb tlao. Tlao means to bear. It means to undergo. It means to lift a massive, staggering weight. It appears in the New Testament to describe things that can literally crush you. Look at Revelation chapter 16. Verse 21. John describes hailstones dropping from the sky during the final judgment. He calls them talentios, a talent weight, 100 pounds of solid ice falling from heaven. It is an image of overwhelming, inescapable mass. That is the word Jesus chooses. If the sheer scale of the original Greek is making you read the Bible with fresh eyes, you are exactly who this channel is for. Hit subscribe and leave a comment below about what you are seeing. Because every week, we go deeper into the text than you knew was possible. Most people assume Matthew 25 is a story about human potential. We read the parable of the talents as a divine productivity seminar. So the third servant looks at the talenton. He does not see a blessing. He sees a crushing burden. He is holding the kingdom's wealth. He is holding the master's reputation. He is holding a piece of a world he does not belong in. It is terrifying. Grace is not a feather. Grace is an anvil. It changes your center of gravity. It pulls you out of your normal orbit. You cannot hold it and remain exactly who you were. You cannot carry a talenton and walk with the same posture. It demands a response. It demands a change in identity. You can no longer act like a slave when you hold the treasury of a king. The first two servants let the weight transform them. They take the risk. They enter the market. The third servant refuses. He cannot handle the mass of the gift. He cannot handle the freedom. He wants the safety of the old rules. The talenton is not a test of his productivity. It is the overwhelming weight of the master's grace. And to avoid that grace, he turns to the most reliable defense mechanism available in first-century Judea. He goes looking for a shovel. The iron spade bites into the crust of the Judean field. The air is cool, but the man is sweating. The logic is so common, we do not even question it. God gave you a gift. Maybe you are a talented musician, a sharp entrepreneur, an empathetic listener. His muscles burn as he drags the linen sack, heavier than a human body, toward the edge of the pit. He pushes the silver into the dark, scraping the loose soil over it with his bare hands. He packs the earth down flat. He smooths it out so no one will ever know it is there. He is not acting out of laziness. He is executing a flawless legal strategy. In the first-century world, the laws of entrusted property, the laws of bailment, were notoriously strict. The rabbis debated this endlessly. If a wealthy man hands you his money, and you tie it in a leather pouch, and a thief slashes the pouch in the marketplace, you are legally liable. You must pay it back. If you hide the money in the rafters of your house, and a fire consumes the roof, you are legally liable. You carry the debt, but there was one loophole, one perfect, unassailable safe harbor. If you take the money into a field, if you dig a hole, if you bury the treasure deep in the earth, the moment you receive it, you are completely absolved of responsibility. If a thief finds it, it is not your fault, and God expects a return on his investment. We tell young people to find their talents and use them for the kingdom. If a flood washes it away, the court will not hold you accountable. The dirt is the ultimate insurance policy. The third servant is not just hiding a fortune. He is building a fortress of legal protection. He is wrapping himself in the strict, cold letter of the law so the master cannot touch him. The hole in the ground is not a sign of indifference. It is a monument to fear. He wants zero risk. He wants zero vulnerability. He wants to hand the silver back exactly as he received it, sterile, untouched, and utterly useless. He refuses the noise of the marketplace. He refuses the messy, unpredictable danger of trading on the king's name. He looks at the staggering, reckless grace of the master, and he decides to lock it in a tomb. He chooses the safety of the law over the risk of relationship. He brushes the dirt from his knees. He walks back to his quarters in the dark. He thinks he is safe. He thinks his defense is impenetrable. But years later, the master returns. The books are opened. The first two servants walk in with the soil of the market.